All right, y'all. Welcome to your week 3 report. This is the first voiceover that we're doing. So this will be about 20-ish minutes. We'll fly through certain things and focus on others. And I will let you know your responses that you should be sending to us at the end. To get going here with squad goals, we have 11 key goals that determine wins and losses. Okay, this breaks those 11 goals down. The highlighted ones are the ones that we're doing really well at, that we need to continue to do well at. Overall, we're doing awesome here. Okay, so when we score first, we're winning 100% of the time. 100% of the time, we get 16 or more quality at bats. 100% of the time, when the opponent doesn't throw over 55% first pitch strikes, and 100% of the time when we strike out 6 or fewer times. On the defensive side, the biggest indicators so far have been how many strikeouts we get pitching. Okay, 7 or more, we've won 86% of the time, and 10 or fewer free bases, we've won 80% of the time. Ultimately, we need to win 6 out of these 11. We actually won a game this weekend against Round Tripper where we only won 5 of the 11 squad goals, but the discrepancy in those individual squad goals were huge. Okay, so the goal is to win 6 every single time that we play. Week 2 action steps. I thought you guys did an awesome job in this first one of understanding when to get off your A swing, when to swing for contact. We're still striking out a little bit too much comparatively to where we need to be by the summer, but we're not in a bad spot right now. Okay, much better job on owning our alphas, better aggression with runner on third less than 2 outs, and you'll see success rates on alphas coming up here soon, but it definitely showed. We got to continue to focus on being gritty over pretty with 2 strikes, putting balls in play, not being early. Defensively, pace on and off the field. Okay, we got a little lackadaisical in that last game. Everybody was a little bit tired, just having some fun, but make sure that we have pace on and off the field. Making routine plays. We struggled with that more than we should this weekend. Overall, our defense was still really, really good, but we got to be better in that regard and continue to focus for 7 innings, which I thought, especially in game 1 on Sunday, you did an incredible job of being down a lot early, fighting back, making that thing a ball game. And you couldn't tell by looking at the dugout, seeing the energy, anything like that. I thought you guys did an awesome job of just staying the course through the whole 7 innings. Pitching wise, big focus going into next week is 2 of the first 3 pitches for a strike. You'll see the differences in our opponents on base slugging and OPS from a 1 and 2 versus 2 and 2 count. Okay, so if we don't throw strike one, and I know first pitch strike percentage is a squad goal, but if we don't throw that first one, we really can't go down 0 and 2. We got a challenge right there and get back even. Okay, get nasty with 2 strikes. You saw our strikeout percentage and how that correlates to wins. That doesn't mean we have to go into individual innings or individual hitters trying to pitch for a strikeout. But what it means is when we get to 2 strikes, our intent at that point should be to strike the hitter out. Okay, we've given up way too many 0 and 2 hits on balls that are just too good, catch too much plate, or too high, or we're trying to throw a fastball up and we miss belt high. Okay, we can't have those misses there. Okay, the key for all pitchers is that we need to miss in the direction called. Okay, if your catcher calls it outside, and we miss, we have to miss it farther out. We can't miss back over the plate. If we call up and we miss, we have to miss further up. Okay, can't miss down. All right, so whatever direction that pitch is called, we need to make sure we're missing in the same direction. Okay, getting nasty with 2 strikes, and then first out focus. Okay, there is a 36% difference in scoring rate for our opponent when they get the first batter of the inning on versus when they don't. Okay, so when we can go and get the first out, they're scoring less than 20% of the time. All right, so we need to continue to focus there, make sure that we're putting ourselves in the best statistical position to make sure that they're not scoring runs. Alpha at bats. Okay, we failed this week in leading off an inning by 2%. Okay, that's as close to success as you can have. It was literally a 1 inning difference. Okay, the red again was our summer average. You see both of these weeks are above our summer average, and we're 1 for 2 weeks wise of, or tournaments wise, of being in the green. 48% really, really close. Have no concerns there by any means. We're doing a really good job in this area. 2 outs, runner on second. This was a huge difference. Okay, we were 71% of driving that run in with 2 outs and a runner on second. Big reason is we went in with the right approach. Okay, we weren't taking strike 2. We were being aggressive in counts, trying to drive that run in, not looking for free bases in that situation. Okay, that was a huge jump to 71%. Runner on third with less than 2 outs, we were 93% this week. Okay, that needs to continue being above 75%. Okay, our goal is 75. Summer average was 73. Week 1, we were just below that at 72. Okay, and this week we were 93%, which again is just death by paper cut. Okay, you get that guy on third with less than 2 outs. We got to be aggressive in driving that run in. The only time that slightly changes, which Kyle asked about over the weekend. Okay, understand score, inning, and situation. If we're down 5 runs and we have a runner on third with 1 out, we need more than that run to cross the plate. Okay, so at that point, we want to just adapt and treat our runner on third under 2 out situation like we would a 2 out runner on second alpha situation where we don't want to take strike 2. Okay, so we have a little bit more wiggle room in taking that first strike if it's a pitcher strike, but we still have to be aggressive to drive that run in. But the ultimate goal there is to get a hit and continue to stack quality at bats. So week 1, we were 2-1. Okay, not bad. Week 2, we were 1-0 in that 10-inning game. Then we went 3-1 this week. So we're sitting at 6-2 right now. Our week 4 goal is to win the tournament. Okay, so that would put us at 10-2 going into our last 2 weekends of the fall, 10-2 going into those last couple of doubleheaders. Okay, it's very doable for you guys to win this next event. I don't think we're going to see the same consistent level of competition as we saw this weekend. That said, we have to take care of us. Okay, when we win or lose a game so far, it has had actually nothing to do with the other team that we're playing, and it's had everything to do with the way that we played the game. Okay, so both of the losses can be attributed to a lot of different things: free bases, giving up hits with 2 strikes, poor defense, whatever that might be. Nobody has just straight up beat us in a good game. Okay, so we need to make sure that we're approaching the game. It's us versus us. Don't even worry about the opponent and who it is. If we show up with the right intent and intensity, there's not very many teams that are going to beat you. Might have seen this already. This was posted on socials. Okay, win rating and P-win. Again, very small sample size. Okay, win rating, if you've played in 5 or more of the games, okay, that's going to give you a good indication of where you sit right now, but those numbers can drastically change. P-win, most of you guys don't have enough innings for this to give too much information. That said, a lot of you are in a really good spot. Everything Dalen and below is competitive. Jennings and below is really, really solid. Those bottom 3, small sample size, small innings. No, you guys will be better than that. Just not in a great position after 1 or 2 outings. Breaking into our offensive splits. Okay, our goal is to score 5 or more runs a game. When we've done that, we're 6-1. When we haven't done that, we're 0-1. Walks and hit by pitch, 6 or more a game, we're 3-0. Under 6, we're 3-2. Okay, we do have the ability to just flat out hit. So if we don't get 6 walks or hit by pitch, that does not mean we're going to lose the game by any means. But if we can stack extra base hits and free bases, that gives us the ability to also steal bags, which puts us in a position where our offense is extremely multifaceted and dynamic. Okay, so you can see our walk rate was heavily down compared to week 1 and low in comparison to our goal. But you can see that our run percentage was actually much higher. Okay, so those don't necessarily go hand in hand as long as we're swinging well, but especially in the games where the bats are cold, going into a tournament that we're going to be playing with wood, we have to own our approach and take our free bases when we can get them. Extra base hit goal, 2 or more in a game. We've done that all 8 games that we've played. We actually averaged 5 extra base hits a game all weekend. So that was awesome to see. You guys start to figure out hitters counts, how to let that A swing go, and to utilize both hitting for power, but also speed out of the box and intent and thought process to get to. We turned 2 or 3 that I can think of singles into doubles by just getting out of the box and applying pressure. Okay, so that is awesome. Love to see it continue that. Total hits, again, we've been over 6 every single game. I think we will be the vast majority of the season with the lineup that we have. And we're 6-2 in those games. We averaged 11.5 hits a game over the course of the weekend. Stolen base wise, this is what's telling. Okay, so stolen base wise, our goal is 4 or more. Okay, we averaged about 5.5, but when we steal 4 or more bases, we are 6-0. The 2 games that we have had under 5 stolen bases, we are 0-2. Okay, so if you think about those 2 games, the only big difference in those games compared to the others is how we've had to approach it. Okay, both of those games we were down multiple runs in a position to where we couldn't be as aggressive on the bases to potentially make it out. Okay, so two things that we're going to try. One, I want to keep the aggression on. I want to keep the foot on the gas pedal with the way that we hit, continue to be aggressive, continue to leave green lights on, even if we're trailing a few runs early. Let's make them make those plays because we are stealing 95% of our bases successfully. So as long as that rate continues, we're in good shape. Okay, the flip side is our goal is to be 85% successful at stolen bases. So some of you guys, I can think of Tanner for sure off the top of my head, had a couple of jumps, got started, and then shut it down real quick. Okay, trust your reads, trust yourself. If you get thrown out, you get thrown out. All right, that's fine, but we want to use the fall to figure out exactly what that limit is. Okay, so be aggressive in those situations that you have when you get a quality jump. Okay, if you don't get a good jump and it's a green light, then shut it down. Don't run just to run, but understand the difference between a good steal, even if we get thrown out, versus a bad steal, even if we get thrown out. Okay. Kind of telling, though, on just the pressure and the multifaceted offense and the way that it affects a team. Okay. If we're only scoring runs by hitting, we've lost 2 games. When we add in, hey, we're going to swing it, but we're also going to steal bases, we're also going to move runners, sack flies, bunts, whatever it might be, then they don't know what to expect. So we have them on their heels the entire game. Expect going into a tournament with wood that if situations call for it, we will bunt, okay, or we will choke stroke. That does not mean that everybody's going to be in a situation that it's a guaranteed runner on first, nobody out, we're going to bunt. I love our ability to take bases without having to give up an out. So if and when you get a sacrifice bunt sign, the first one, as long as you're comfortable and confident in your bunting ability, if you get a sacrifice bunt sign, that first bunt attempt can 100% beat a bunt for a hit. And if you don't get it down, then just have to stay in the box, get the sacrifice bunt down. If you go down 0-2, you're still going to get a bunt sign unless the situation has changed and runners have moved up. Okay, so be prepared to bunt all 3 strikes if you need to, but get those down when we get them. I'm going to challenge you a little bit. We are at 47 stolen bases as a team through 8 games. We have an additional 8 games. We're 50% through the fall. Okay, so we have an additional 8 games coming. And I would say that our goal is to hit 100 stolen bases. Okay, so we need 53 bags in our last 8. We had 47 in our first 8. Okay, if we can hit 100 bags in a short season in the fall, that is a lot of bags, and shows our ability to not only hit, but also run at an extremely high level. Flipping gears here to the defensive side. We are 2-0 when we've allowed 4 or fewer runs, 4-2, 5+. Okay, we allowed a little over 6 per game. That said, we did awesome on Saturday. Sunday conditions had a lot to do with that, so I'm not putting too much weight into that. Okay, earned run goal 3-0, 4 when we've allowed 4 or less, 3-2 when we've allowed 5 or more. Okay, so you can see those discrepancies. Although we're still winning when we're giving up more runs, we're making life a lot more challenging. Okay, and a big reason when we give up more runs is because of free bases. Okay, so we have to start to really focus in on limiting those. Walks and hit by pitch, 5 or fewer, we're 3-0. 6 or more, we're 3-2. So again, same thing. We can win in spite of giving up free bases. However, we don't need our pitchers to be perfect. We just need you guys to not give up freebies. Our defense can play and will continue to improve and be top notch. So what that means is balls in play should be outs. Make them put together multiple hits in an inning to score runs. Okay, errors 1 or less. We averaged 1.5 this weekend, but we're 3-0 with 1 or less, 3-2 with 2 or more. Okay, so what happens is we start to walk guys. Okay, pitchers, not sure if you realize this, but a lot of times the defense plays worse behind you when your walk rate is high or when your pace is slow because they get bored and they lose focus. Defense, that's not an excuse to get bored or lose focus. You have to stay focused and be ready to go at all times. But as this happens, and as these 2 things happen, these 2 things happen. Okay, so it really is a domino effect to where free bases lead to errors, free bases and errors lead to runs against. All right. Pass balls, wild pitch, 4-1 with 2 or less, 2-1 with 2 or more. When we've had 2 or more, the max we've had is 3. Okay, so it's not terrible, but we need to make sure that we don't have bad pass balls. Okay, catchers have done a pretty good job of that. We had one from each of you guys this weekend that was definitely avoidable. So we need to make sure we stay locked in there. Inning by inning and times through the order. We are winning every single inning except for the first and the sixth and the second. We're tied there. But if you look at the middle of the game, that's where we're really running away. Okay. Sometimes that's the bottom of the order starting it in the third. Sometimes that's the top of the order rolling back through. But our second time through the order has been absolutely huge. Okay. So my challenge to you is to match the second time through in our first couple of innings. Doesn't need to be big innings. We just need to put up runs. Okay. So our ability to choose visitors has been great. Haven't lost a toss in 8 years. Okay. But we're not maximizing that by scoring first as often as we need to. Okay. So as good as our lineup has been, one big area that I would love to see an increased focus is scoring first. Okay. When we do that, we're able to really ramp up the pressure and put games out of reach quickly. But we had a lot of games this weekend where we were playing from behind early, then came out to a big lead. All right. So really focus in on that piece. Big innings, so 3 or more run innings. Okay. Look at the discrepancies between offense and defense. Hits, extra base hits, about the same. Okay. We're getting about 2 more free bases per inning on the offensive side. We're stealing almost a bag and a half more. They are making almost a little over an entire error less, and they are giving us an entire out less. Okay, so what we can see here and really pull from this is that offensively, we can accomplish big innings without them screwing up. We have the ability to take free bases, steal bags, hit for extra base power. We only need 3 outs to score 3 runs. Okay, we've done it multiple times. Defensively, the only way that they are getting big innings is in innings that we are making mistakes. We have to give them an additional out in order to score the amount of runs to accomplish a big inning. So if we can eliminate free bases, eliminate errors, big innings aren't going to happen consistently. Okay. Inning by inning record, we're winning 60% of our innings with the goal of 55%. Shutdown after score, we're doing that 63% of the time with the goal at 65. Punch back after score, we're doing that 69% of the time with the goal of 65. So all of those were either at the goal or above it, or just slightly below it. Shutdown after score has got to be a main focus going into next weekend. We have 12 big innings and wins. We're averaging 2 a game. We've only given up 1 big inning in wins, so that's 0.16 a game. In losses, we've only had 1 big inning, so that's a half of a big inning a game, and we're giving up 1.5 a game in our losses. Okay, so take out all other stats, metrics, numbers, whatever. At the end of the day, if we can hold teams to 2 or fewer runs in an inning, we're winning games. But as soon as we allow them to hit that benchmark of 3 runs in an inning, when that happens more than 1 time in a game, we're losing. All right. So goals are no 3+ run innings, 1+ big inning a game offensively, and compete to win every single inning that we play. Okay. I thought you guys focused well on that against the Canes. Got down early, fought back to win innings. We ended up winning 3 innings that game, losing 3 innings and tying 1. It was just the difference in those innings that cost us the game. Okay. But overall, the competitiveness was there the entire time. Breaking it down for the whole team here, leading off an inning and by count on offense. We're up to 73% scoring when we get the leadoff guy on, 2 percentage points away from the goal. When we don't get the leadoff guy on, we're scoring 32% of the time with the goal of 25. So that's awesome. Okay, I said it, in the summer to you guys, but our goal is that these 2 numbers right here equate to 100% or more. Okay, so right now we're at 105%. That's awesome. Regardless of which number is where, we need to keep that number over 100% to maintain a high-powered offense. By count as a team, okay, on-base slugging, OPS. OPS is really the big one that we want to look at. We are green in all hitters counts, all green. Love to see it. Bridge counts, we're yellow and green. Yellow is fine in a bridge. We'd prefer green, but we're not going to be perfect. Okay, so 2-strike hitting is where we need to improve. Granted, those counts you are a little bit more on the defensive. This is pretty standard that you see a drop off across the board here in 2-strike counts. We're owning 3-2 counts, which is awesome. Okay, but we want to see all of these numbers hit that 600 mark. Okay, if we can get these to a 600 mark, then we're in a great position. All right, so hitters counts, bridge counts, 2-strike. We're green, yellow, which means there are 0 count types that were in the red, which is awesome. Okay, one of the biggest stats that I can tell you that isn't listed in the weekly report, but is tracked, okay, is the amount of counts that you have that we get to a result in a hitter's count versus a bridge count versus a two-strike count. Okay, so let me pull it up real quick so you can see it. But we are offensively putting balls in play in hitters counts 45% of the time, right here. Bridge counts 14% of the time. Two-strike counts, we're only reaching that 41% of the time, which is great. Okay, only reaching that 40% of the time is an amazing number because it means we're putting more balls in play when we have count leverage, which is exactly what we want to do. Okay, in comparison, defensively and pitching wise, they are only putting 34% of balls in play in hitters counts and 54% of counts on all hitters against us are reaching two strikes. So that's huge. Okay. We want to see a discrepancy in how many or how often they are hitting with two strikes versus how often we're hitting with two strikes, because there's going to be a direct correlation between the percentage there based on the results that you have in these counts and our success factor. Okay. So absolutely huge that we're doing that. Getting back into this. Okay, we're crushing it in all hitters counts. 0-1, 0-2, 1-2 are where we have to get better. Understand that that doesn't necessarily mean we get more hits, 0-1, 0-2, 1-2, but it means that we adjust our approach to not be early. When we do that and we foul off multiple pitches, suddenly we work from an 0-1 to a 1-1 or an 0-2 to a 1-2 and a 1-2 to a 2-2. You can see 1-2 to 2-2 to 3-2 numbers drastically improve from 1-2 to 3-2. Okay, so although we want to see improved results in these counts, one way to improve the result is also just to fight off pitches and be a tougher out, get gritty, so that way we can reach that 3-2 count where we have a lot of success right now. Breaking it down by hitter here, okay, and this is where your responses should come in this week. What I want you to do is on the offensive side, look at these numbers and send over to me and Coach Parrott in a group text what adjustments you want to make as a hitter. Okay, understand that when we do this, sometimes your adjustment is to stay locked into what you're doing, that there's no adjustment at all other than staying engaged. Okay, sometimes your adjustment is huge. Okay, so don't feel like you got to come up with something crazy. If you're crushing it right now, there's no reason to change something that is working extremely well for you. Just have a minor adjustment to your red areas or where you're struggling. Okay, if you have more than 3 red counts, okay, that has to be a primary focus, that we're improving our ability in those counts to find positive results. Okay, so some of you guys only have 1, some of you guys have 2, 3, whatever it might be. Anything over 3, we have to condense those numbers. On the green side, anything under 3, we really have to condense those numbers or improve those numbers. Okay, so some of you guys are crushing it in 1 or 2 counts. That's awesome for those counts, but we really need to have multiple counts that we know we thrive in. So that way, as the at-bat happens, we can jump in those situations and know that our success rate is really high, which is going to improve your confidence throughout that at-bat. So, defensive side. Leading off an inning, they're scoring 65% of the time if they get on. We want to see that under 60. Okay. When they lead off with an out, they're scoring 29% of the time, which is way too high. Okay. It says push to 25%. Realistically, I would love to see that at 20 or less. Okay. That just shows a lack of focus in getting that second and third out. Okay. But you can still see the percentage difference here is huge. So this is why our primary focus on the pitching side for this week is to get the first guy out. We go out there with the right focus to get the leadoff guy out. We just set the tone for the inning. They already have one out. Now they have to scramble and put multiple hits together against a quality defense without giving up free bases. Okay, it's a huge shift in the overall inning, but also just in the energy of the inning. Okay. Pretty normal to see a lot of red here, as we talked about on the hitters count side. Okay, typically hitters do better there. Yellow and red here. A lot of green in the 2 strike counts, but we have to improve here. Okay, so too much red in hitters. Still red in bridge that we have to get rid of. We're green across the board in 2 strike counts. Okay, but again, the difference between a 2-1 or a 1-2. Okay, look at those numbers. Very, very different. Okay, so although 2-1 we're still doing well, okay, we go from 200 to 057, from 200 to 057, from 400 to 114. Okay, so huge difference if we're working 2-1 or 1-2. Okay, so 2 out of the first 3 pitches for a strike. Okay, 1-0 to 0-1, other big difference right there. Okay, and then we go 1-0. If you go to 2-0 versus 1-1, not a huge difference across the board there. But if we're 0-1 to 1-1 or 0-1 to 0-2, you can see those numbers. Okay, so there's a lot of these counts to where when we look at 0-1, 1-1, where you go from there, you typically see a big discrepancy, which is why they're called bridge counts, because they're bridging the gap between either you moving to a hitter's count or you moving to a 2-strike count. Okay, leadoff and by count analysis for our pitchers. Same thing from the pitching side. I want you to send over what your primary focus is based on these numbers. Okay, trying to improve upon the green, trying to improve and limit the amount of red. Okay, so again, if you have more than 3 counts that are in the red, we need to find ways to really just adjust our pitching approach. Sometimes that's throwing different pitches in different counts. Sometimes that's location. Sometimes it's sequencing. Okay, so really think through what you feel like the issue might be there. And then on the green side, figure out ways to either maximize these counts and stay in there or to own more counts that you feel like you should be in charge of. Okay, but overall, not bad on the pitching side. If I could challenge 2 areas right now, I would challenge our pitchers to step up to the game, okay, because we have a ton of run support and we have the ability to score a lot. But if we can do that and throw lights out without giving up free bases, we're going to be in an incredible position. And we put together a pitching staff that can absolutely be dominant. Okay, that doesn't mean everyone's got to throw 90. It just means own your role, know what you do really, really well, and go out and do it. Okay, the second area that I want to challenge you guys is outfield play. Okay, I know I said it over the weekend, but realistically, our infield hasn't been perfect by any means, but our infield has made a lot of high level plays and is doing a really, really good job. Our outfield has been spotty. Okay, so outfielders, it is anyone's game out there right now as far as earning time and what that will look like, which is why you guys are seeing more rotation out there than the infield. That's not a bad thing. It just means step up to the challenge, go out there, earn those at bats, use those at bats, but most importantly, own the defensive side of the outfield as well. That is your week 3 report. Okay, so again, response on the offensive side, response on the pitching side. Defensively, okay, I want you to send me how you're feeling and just overall if there's anything that you want to focus on or really see a big change in. Okay, a lot of you guys are putting in the defensive work. There's not much to do other than bring what you're learning to the field. Okay, but would love to hear from you guys on that side if there is anything. Okay, sometimes when you guys do these responses, it's as simple as sending you a thumbs up back because it's very straightforward. But use these responses to also understand that I am very willing to have a deeper intellectual conversation about approach and mindset, what you should be doing, where your thought process currently is, all of that. That doesn't mean it has to be every week, but if you're truly struggling with something or you feel like you need help or you need a shift in mentality, don't be afraid to say those things. That is not going to limit your time on the field or hurt you in any way, but it gives us as a coaching staff a better feel of how we can help you. When it comes to the mental side of the game, there's only so much we can do to help if we don't know what's going on. Okay, so feel free to share those things if you are struggling with anything. If you're not, no reason to make up problems that don't exist. Okay, as soon as we get scheduled for the weekend, we will send that out to everybody. I know we're missing a few, but please send over when you send these responses, just your availability for the weekend. It looks like it's only a Saturday, Sunday event with a 3-game guarantee. So we'll likely have to win our pool to make the championship to get that 4th game and then to win that. Okay, so one note on that for pitchers, but really for the whole team, we have enough pitching that we're going to schedule this weekend to play 4 games. Okay, we're not going to throw everybody in the first 3 and have nothing left for the championship. So what that means is hitters, pitchers that are scheduled to throw in the first 3 games, defense, okay, if we want to be good teammates and make sure that everybody gets to do what they're scheduled to do, all that means is we got to win baseball games. Okay, we win baseball games. That means we get to play more games. That means everybody gets to do the things that they were brought on this team to do. The only way that people don't get on the field or have opportunities is if we don't win, and then we don't have as many games. Okay. Really proud of what you guys have done so far. Really excited for these last 8 games in the fall. I would tell you realistically, anything under 12-4 finishing isn't great. I believe that we're 12-4 or better. I think that we can honestly win out. Okay, but realistically, you win 75% of your games in the fall, going 12-4. That's a pretty darn good fall season, and we have a lot to build on from there. Okay, so proud of what you guys have done so far. Don't settle. Let's keep it moving. I think my mouse is frozen. Oh, there we go.